7 signs you're shifting into a dark, chosen one right now. You don't wake up one day and say, I think I'm a dark, chosen one. It's never that clean. It's not a moment of clarity, it's a moment of unraveling. A sudden discomfort in everything that used to feel safe. A burning behind your eyes that sees through the performance of light, of love, of positivity. You don't choose this path, it chooses you. And when it does, your entire inner world begins to rearrange itself. You feel it in your body, in your dreams, in the silence between your thoughts. You feel it when you realize that not every shadow is your enemy, and not every beam of light is truth. The shift doesn't come with a title, it comes with signs. Mysterious, painful, powerful signs that your soul is undergoing an initiation it cannot reverse. And if you're experiencing these signs right now, then you're not just waking up. You're being recast as something ancient, something primal, something real. The first sign is isolation that no longer hurts but begins to feel necessary. You used to feel desperate for connection, for belonging. But now, solitude feels like a temple. You don't even flinch when people leave. You've stopped chasing understanding. The world's noise is too loud, too fake. You're not running from people, you're just done bending yourself to match their illusions. This isn't loneliness anymore. This is refinement. The dark chosen don't grow in communities, but they grow in caves. They are tempered in silence, stripped down to their raw soul in solitude. You've started to crave that solitude because something inside you knows you're being dismantled. You're not being punished, you're being prepared.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
The second sign is that your gifts start to get sharper, but they come with a heaviness. You're feeling more than ever, seeing through things, sensing lies in voices, watching patterns play out before they even unfold. But it doesn't feel beautiful. It feels burdensome. Like knowing too much, too fast. Like having truth pour into your system before your body is ready to carry it. You can feel others' pain like it's yours. And their manipulation burns in your skin before their words even finish. You aren't imagining it. You're mutating. Your nervous system is becoming a spiritual instrument, and it doesn't come with instructions. This isn't gentle awakening. It's raw transmutation. The third sign is you've stopped resonating with surface-level light, the forced positivity, the love-and-light-only crowd, the fake Zen calmness that bypasses real wounds. It used to inspire you. Now it irritates you. Not because you hate the light, but because you've seen what it's hiding. You understand now that light isn't always healing. Sometimes it blinds. Sometimes it sterilizes. Sometimes it becomes a prison that rejects anything too raw, too wild, too real. You're beginning to understand that the path of truth isn't about staying in the light. It's about moving through all of it, the dark and the light, without losing your soul to either. And this understanding changes you. It alienates you, but it also frees you. The fourth sign is your life starts to break apart in waves. Not one big explosion, but silent unravelings. People ghosting you, dreams suddenly collapsing, plans falling through with no warning. And here's the crazy part, you don't even panic. Deep down, some part of you expected it. Because when you're shifting into a dark, chosen one, the universe removes every anchor tied to your old identity. It clears the path not with a soft breeze, but with a demolition crew. What's falling apart now isn't your life, it's your disguise. The mask you wore to stay digestible to others. The one you built in the light so you wouldn't feel the weight of your own shadow. But now the shadow is rising, and it's asking to be seen. Not fixed, not healed. Seen. The fifth sign is you start having conversations with the parts of yourself you once buried. You find yourself thinking thoughts you've never allowed. You question everything, your beliefs, your memories, your heroes. You start to doubt every voice that taught you to suppress your rage, your sensuality, your wildness, your power. And something cracks. You stop demonizing your darkness. You stop apologizing for your depth. You stop fearing the wild, untamed, paradoxical being inside you. You begin to remember that this is who you were before you were taught to behave. And when you feel that truth, even for a second, your soul howls with recognition. The sixth sign is dreams, vivid, terrifying, prophetic. They're no longer abstract. They're coded transmissions. You're waking up in the middle of the night with symbols tattooed on your mind. You feel energies around you watching, guiding, testing. Some nights feel sacred. Others feel haunted. But either way, you know something is happening. The veil is thinner than ever, and you're no longer afraid to look beyond it. You feel entities, some divine, some dark, but you're no longer trembling. You're asking, what do you want me to remember? That's the sign you're shifting. When fear turns to curiosity, and curiosity becomes command. The seventh sign. You've stopped asking for permission to exist as you are. You're no longer shrinking to fit a system, a relationship, a title, a path. You're no longer trying to prove that you're good or spiritual or pure. You've realized that the dark chosen ones were never meant to be pure. They were meant to be whole. And wholeness includes contradiction, includes chaos, includes sacred rage and holy silence. You're stepping into a power that doesn't need to explain itself. And that is terrifying to the world. But that's why the world needs you. So now let me ask you something you've never dared to answer honestly. Are you shifting, or are you still pretending you're not? Because if even one of these signs hit your spirit like a bell ringing through your chest, then the shift has already begun. The old you is dying, and you can't save them. Here's what happens after the shift hits. There is a moment, silent, personal, irreversible, when you feel something in you crack. You try to hold on. You try to breathe life back into the version of yourself that everyone loved, the one who played nice, who said the right things, who smiled when they were supposed to. You try to salvage the pieces, but they slip through your fingers like dust. That version of you so safe, so sweet, so small is dying. And the truth is, you can't save them. You were never supposed to. The moment the shift begins, the death of the old self is already sealed. This is not a poetic death. It's messy. You feel like a stranger in your own life. You walk into the spaces you once loved and feel nothing. You listen to your old favorite songs and feel the hollowness in the lyrics. You speak to the people who used to understand you, and their words now sound foreign. What's happening is beyond explanation. You're watching yourself dissolve in slow motion. And the scariest part is, you're not even resisting it anymore. You know, deep in your bones, that to cling to who you were is to sabotage who you are becoming. So instead of reaching back, you stand still in the burn, letting your former life melt around you. And this is when things get serious, because you're no longer playing in the shallow waters of transformation. You've stepped into the deep ocean of identity collapse, the in-between realm, the cocoon phase where everything is dark and unfamiliar, and you wonder if you'll ever feel like yourself again. But that's the paradox you're not supposed to. The self you're shedding was the costume and the performance, the protective skin that served you only until your soul decided it had outgrown survival. But during this phase, your mind will rebel. Your nervous system will try to convince you to go back. Just go back to the light. Say what they want to hear. Laugh at their shallow jokes. Pretend you're fine. But pretending is poison now. It doesn't feel safe, it feels like betrayal. Because once your soul tastes freedom, no illusion can ever satisfy it again. You'd rather be misunderstood in truth than celebrated in a lie. And this is where the true dark chosen ones separate from the rest, not because they're stronger, but because they refuse to abandon the flame inside them, even when the world offers them 1,000 reasons to put it out. Everything you do from this point forward will feel different. Your boundaries will harden like obsidian. You'll stop explaining your absence, stop justifying your silence, stop apologizing for the energy you carry. You'll realize that some people were only drawn to your light because it didn't burn yet. But now that you're on fire, they recoil. But let them go. They were never meant to walk beside this version of you. Their love was conditional. And this next chapter of your life, it demands unconditional embodiment. You can't carry dead weight into your resurrection. And this is when something magical, something terrifying starts to happen. The world begins to test your new vibration, not with words, but with mirrors. It sends you people who echo your old wounds. It drops you into situations that look like your past, feel like your past, sound like your past, just to see if you'll react like your past. This is the crucible, the final test. The moment where the universe asks, do you really want this new self? Or do you just like the idea of transformation? And you'll be tempted. You'll be tempted to water yourself down, to perform the safe version of spirituality again, but to be softer, sweeter, smaller. But that version of you is gone. You buried them under moonlight and prayer. You mourned them with fire in your chest and tears in your throat. You sacrificed them for something real. So now, when the tests come, and they will, you must respond like the being you're becoming, not the being you were. And if you pass, if you stay true even when you're misunderstood, doubted, mocked, isolated, something breathtaking unfolds. The power you used to chase now starts chasing you. The clarity you used to pray for begins to drip into your being like honey through stone. You don't search for signs anymore, you are the sign. You walk differently, speak differently, breathe differently. Your presence starts to shift rooms. Your silence becomes instruction. Your very existence starts to challenge the systems around you without you needing to say a word. But the greatest gift of all, peace. Not the kind they sell in self-help books, not the performative peace of false Zen, but the peace of knowing, of waking up and remembering, I'm finally walking in the energy I came here to embody. That's a peace no one can give you, and no one can take it away, because it's not built on validation. It's built on self-initiation. So let me ask you, right now, what part of you are you still trying to save, even though it's already gone? Because until you release that last thread, the new you cannot fully step forward. And the world needs that version of you, the one who doesn't shrink, doesn't pretend, doesn't explain. The one who has died to become truth itself. Your power has become too strong to hide. This is when the world starts to feel you before you even enter the room. There's a point in the journey of every dark chosen one when something strange starts to happen. You're not speaking louder, you're not trying harder. You're not even present in the conversation yet, but people are already shifting around you. They sense you coming, their posture changes, and they glance over their shoulder. Their words trail off, their laughter stutters, and they don't know why. But you know, because the vibration you're carrying is no longer something you use, it's something you are. You've passed through the fire, through the dark night, through the death of your old self. And now what's left is presence. Your distilled, unapologetic, magnetic presence. At this point, you stop needing to speak to prove anything. You've become a silent disruptor. You walk into a room, and it's like the truth arrives with you. Not truth in the intellectual sense, energetic truth. The kind of truth that can't be argued with. The kind of truth that makes people feel exposed even if you say nothing. Not because you're judging, but because your very essence refuses to play pretend. You've become allergic to illusion, and your frequency reflects that. It doesn't just affect the people near you, it affects the space itself. Time slows, conversations twist. The masks that others wear begin to slip. And suddenly, without doing anything, you become felt. But here's the part no one warns you about. This level of energy does not come with applause. It comes with resistance. Because the moment people feel your power, they unconsciously compare it to the mask they're still wearing. And most don't know how to handle that. So they say you're intimidating. They say you're too much. They say you make them uncomfortable. And you know what? They're right. But not because you're aggressive. Not because you're dark in the way they fear. You're uncomfortable because you mirror what they've buried. You force a silent question into the room. Am I being real right now? And most people aren't ready to answer it. This is where the real test begins. Because now you must carry your power without shame, without shrinkage, without over-explaining or apologizing for the shift that others feel before they even understand it. You must learn how to walk in a world that teaches you to tone down your truth, but still hold it like fire in your chest. You're not here to be palatable. You're here to be precise. You're not here to blend in. You're here to burn through. And that means you must hold your frequency even when it costs you comfort. This is also when your path narrows. Because now, not only can you sense inauthenticity, you cannot tolerate it. What used to be tolerable becomes nauseating. Small talk feels like static. Shallow relationships drain you faster than conflict. You stop performing normal. You stop pretending you don't feel what you feel. And that kind of authenticity clears the room. People will leave, not because they don't love you, but because they built their lives around avoiding their own depth. And being around you means confronting everything they've hidden. That's not rejection, it's revelation. And you must not take it personally, because this is also when something miraculous begins to unfold. As the old falls away, new frequencies begin to find you. You start to attract people who feel like truth. They may be few, but when you meet them, there's no pretense. There's no warm-up. There's just immediate recognition. Like you've known each other for lifetimes. These are your real ones, your soul allies, not followers. not fans, but mirrors of your fire. And together, without planning it, you begin to shift the collective field. Not by preaching, not by performing, but by simply being. That's the revolution. Not loud, but undeniable. And from this point, your relationship with energy changes forever. But you begin to sense the unseen more clearly than the visible. You know who's lying before they speak. You feel truth behind a screen. You dream of things before they happen. You're no longer in sync with the calendar, you're in sync with Source. And it shows, not in what you say, in how you exist. You become medicine, disruption, portal, guide, and sometimes weapon, but not a weapon of war. A weapon of awakening. Let me ask you something that no one has dared ask you out loud. Are you still trying to make people feel comfortable around a power that was never meant to be gentle? Because you weren't chosen to be soft. You were chosen to be sovereign, and sovereignty makes systems nervous. It makes illusions shake. It makes the old world tremble. But that's why you feel the friction. Not because you're broken, but because you've broken free. And freedom, real freedom, carries a frequency that cannot be faked or silenced. This is why the world feels you before you even enter the room. Because what's arriving isn't just a person, it's a presence that remembers its power, that no longer explains its evolution, that no longer doubts its darkness, that no longer waits for permission to live in full vibration. This is the becoming, the edge, the activation. You no longer belong anywhere because you were sent here to build what has never existed before. At some point in the journey, the realization hits you like a thunderclap in the middle of a silent room. You don't belong anywhere, not in the systems you were raised in, not in the circles you grew up around, not in the identities you wore like second skin. You don't fit not because there's something wrong with you, but because you were never meant to. That ache you've carried your whole life wasn't loneliness. It was prophecy, a deep, ancient knowing that you are not here to find a place to belong. You are here to build what has never existed before. This is the final initiation of the Dark Chosen One, the Sacred Exile. The moment when you stop looking for the old world to recognize you and start becoming the blueprint for a new one. All the structures that rejected you, they had to. Because if they embraced you too early, you might have mistaken acceptance for alignment. And your power was never meant to align with what is. Your power is meant to create what could be. And to do that, you had to walk alone. You had to be misunderstood. You had to be exiled from the illusions you were sent here to break. You're not here to improve the system. You're here to replace it. You're not here to modernize the temple. You're here to burn it down and resurrect one that can hold your frequency. You are the living proof that another reality is possible not by preaching it, but by becoming it. And that's why it's been so hard. Because every step of the way, you've been carrying blueprints no one else can see. Building foundations in a dimension most people don't believe exists. And when they laugh at you, doubt you, ghost you, it's not because you're wrong. It's because you're ahead. This level of existence is quiet. It's sovereign. And it's radically creative. You begin to live in a realm between timelines. Your decisions don't make sense to others because they're guided by a compass that points toward a future only your soul remembers. You might walk away from opportunities that look perfect, turn down relationships that check every box, Quit jobs that make sense on paper. And people will call you irrational, dramatic, rebellious. Let them. Because what they see as chaos is actually alignment at a frequency they're not equipped to decode. You're not chasing success, you're anchoring truth. You're not seeking fame, you're embodying signal. And signal doesn't care who understands. Signal doesn't bend to be liked. Signal pulses until those meant to hear it are transformed. That's you now. A walking frequency. A transmission in human skin. You no longer need a podium. You no longer need a stage. You simply exist, and that existence itself becomes an offering, a disruption, the portal. And yes, it's lonely. Not the kind of loneliness that begs to be filled, but the kind that knows it was never meant to be filled by the familiar. You start to accept that your tribe is not large, but it's true. That your recognition won't come from crowds, but from quiet nods from souls who carry the same codes. That your belonging will not be found in groups, but in the vibration of creation itself. So what do you do now? You stop waiting for the world to catch up. You stop explaining your evolution to those who have chosen comfort over consciousness. But you stop hiding the very thing you were sent here to express. You rise, you create, you speak, you build. You walk through the ashes of the systems that tried to silence you and say, "Watch me resurrect what you said was impossible." Because this is your time. The moment all the pain, all the silence, all the exile begins to make sense. The moment your darkness reveals itself not as a flaw, but as a blueprint. A sacred architecture for a reality that cannot be bought, sold, or replicated. One that is born through you. So let me leave you with this final question. One that only the rarest chosen ones will understand. If you were never meant to fit into this world, is it because you came to build the next one? Let that question echo in your bones. Let it vibrate through your spine. Let it crack open the last remnants of your fear. And then, without looking back, build it. Not tomorrow, not when it's safe, not when they understand. Now. Away. Because you are the sign. And they've been waiting for you, even if they don't know it yet.